welcome back to another episode of the Dr. Bowser Basketball Podcast, powered by Sports Guys Iowa. Today, we are lucky enough to have a duly minted state champion head coach from Cedar Falls, Iowa, Ryan Schultz. Coach Schultz, thanks for joining us today.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Ryan, we're going to give you some space, really, to talk about your journey. Talk a little bit about where you're from, maybe your playing days, and then how you got into coaching after college and how you built your program up till where we're at today in 2026.
Okay. I'm one of the fortunate ones that is kind of lucky to coach my hometown. So I'm from Cedar Falls originally, grew up, played for Coach Jerry Slikas, Hall of Fame coach. I had a little bit of an injury-ridden college career. So I went to Iowa Lakes Community College right out of high school, tore my ACL. Then I broke my toe the next year. Then I thought I was going to give it up. Then I ended up going back. Then I hurt my back. And then I finally landed at Wartburg for a couple of years. And so I played for Coach Paith at Wartburg College. Yeah, it was great. A great coach. And after college, I came back, got a teaching job in Cedar Falls, and I kind of worked my way up from the ground up, really. I got a great opportunity to coach at the same junior high that I went to as the head freshman coach. Started there for 4 or 5 years. Then I worked my way up into the sophomore position. So I had the head sophomore job. And then my mentor, he's the one that's guided me the most, is Tom Barnall. And he took me on at the varsity level and showed me the ropes. And I was his assistant coach for 5 years. He had a lot of college experience, UNI, Iowa State. Just a great coach, won a title at Waverly Shell Rock, and then before guiding us to 2 state tournaments here as well. So really give him a lot of credit for getting me started and giving me a chance. After he got done with his reign here, after 5 years, I was fortunate enough to take over, and 13 years later, here I am.
Well, Coach, so you mentioned guys like Bardall and Jerry Slikas. I mean, you've actually played for and then worked for some Iowa high school basketball legends.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about maybe the things that you have taken from each of those that maybe you've used to build your program today.
Well, I think starting with Coach Slikas, I think it's just he got it all started here in Cedar Falls. He was here for 35-ish years. Started off, I believe, in Fort Madison, had a couple state tournament bursts right out of the gate in the 70s, came here and then took Cedar Falls to a couple right away and just had a great history here and obviously a Hall of Fame career. Everything growing up was Tiger basketball. I wanted to be a Tiger. I had that same dream that a lot of kids around here have now, and looking up to all the players and coaches that came before. And then in my adult life, after I got back, it was Tom. It was Coach Bardall, and learned so much from him. Just he brought a college level attitude as well as X's and O's to the high school game. And I just started to see the game differently, and I owe a lot to him.
That's really great. I grew up in Waterloo. My uncle, Burge Erickson, was the coach at Waterloo Columbus, and so competed against Coach Slikas, right? So I remember as a child going to Columbus Cedar Falls games and just the intensity of those matchups. And so I feel lucky being able to kind of grow up in that environment as well. So you've had the reins of Cedar Falls High School now for 13 years. We talked to coaches too about how maybe the program and the culture of the program embody the attitude and the character of the head coach. And so I assume that is pretty true for you too. And so if you were going to give a few words about the things that embody the Cedar Falls Tiger program right now as far as culture goes, maybe what words would you share about yourself and the program?
I don't know if it's indicative of myself or not, but Coach Jacobson up at UNI, when I first got the job, I was fortunate enough to know those guys and get to know them. And as I was asking him what to do to get started, he talked about branding your program. And so the 3 words that I thought about at the time that we really wanted to emulate were toughness, teamwork, and accountability. So those 3 words became kind of the backbone of what this started out at 13 years ago that I wanted our program to be known for, that I thought that we needed within our program to kind of have as our foundation. From there, I think there's gratitude, I think, is another thing that we've really brought to our program over the last few years, just being very grateful for the positions that we've been in. And I think beyond that, it's resilience. We talk about that a lot within our program as well. And I think you saw that a little bit down the stretch of the state tournament. So I hope those are kind of some words that people think of when they think of Cedar Falls basketball.
Absolutely. And so let's transition right to the 25-26 season. I think that you would have to use all of those characteristics to have an undefeated season. I don't think that the average fan really understands, regardless of talent, regardless of who you play, about how challenging it is to go through an entire season unblemished. And so maybe talk about how you guys navigated the 25-26 season. It is a marathon. You start way back in October, you start games in November, and all the way through March, you went unblemished. So maybe talk a little bit about the season first and how you were able to use some of those, the toughness and accountability and resilience through this undefeated season.
Well, I think it is a marathon. It goes back to, we take a lot of pride in developing that culture, and we have very extensive team meetings early on, even before the season starts. And we continue as a part of our practice schedule, we build in culture time, and we do it every Wednesday. And we get together as a team and we talk about those different things that are not always basketball related. I think the biggest thing still comes back to, and it's very cliche these days, but it's process. I think you stay out of getting too high or too low with everything. You never know what's going to come our way. We always talk about there's going to be some knocks and some hard times, whether that's wins or losses, injuries, sickness. Maybe it's a run in a particular game. Maybe it's things that are going on or off the court. You just never know when that stuff's going to come by. So we talk about those things and try to get out ahead of some of those things with how we're going to handle those situations. I think what makes an undefeated season, it still comes back to the kids. I mean, you got to build a culture, but having special kids, there's no replacement for that.
I agree. Let's talk a little bit about maybe the two players that everybody knows first, Will Gertis and Kimbrough. And then maybe talk a little bit about some of your glue guys, right? Some of the guys that maybe don't get mentioned on the KWWL news, or they don't get mentioned in this Waterloo Cedar Falls Courier. Talk about kind of your big guns first, and then maybe some of the guys that are really the guys that help go all the way through the season unblemished.
Yeah, well, you start with Will, obviously. He's going to play his basketball at the University of Northern Iowa, and Coach Jake and his staff are getting a great one. I just think he seems to add something to his game every year. At one point, it was a little bit of strength and athleticism and maybe his right hand, and now can he shoot it? And he's answered the bell every single time. Just had an outstanding career. First team All-State, All-Elite team, player of the year in the MVC, first teamer last year, all-tournament captain. It's just everything. And the thing that's hard about it is he's had a target on his back for a while as well. So you saw every defense is geared to stop him, double teams, and et cetera. And for him to shoot, I think, close to 76% from the field this year, in the 40s from three, went 11 out of 12 at the free throw line in the biggest game of the year. Those are things that just make one heck of a player. Jaden Kimbrough, I probably have not seen a transformation like Jaden. It's certainly hard to find one, or at least come back to one in recent history, just to watch his growth from a sophomore to his senior year. Again, the things he's added, the way he's changed his body, the things that he can do now. At one point, he was kind of a standstill shooter. Now he's affecting the game on every level. He's getting to the rim. He's shooting it from NBA threes, defender, leads us in steals. And just both are great leaders, which is fantastic. And both brings different types of leadership, which is awesome. Then you get into guys like Leighton Wolf. Talk about a glue guy, a guy that does everything for you. We do a toughness chart. One of my assistants, it's a stat, it's kind of a competition within our team. We have a defensive and an offensive toughness winner at the end of each year. And Leighton is at the top of both of those charts. He might win them both this year. I'm not sure how that's going to pan out, but all things non-scoring is what he does. Confidence, leadership. You saw those two big shots that he hit in the championship game, and just the ferocious attitude that he brings to the table, and as a senior leader, was outstanding. You talk about some glue guys, and it's the next two even in our starting lineup. Carson Gary, a young sophomore, but that has had some experience down at state last year in our semifinal game. Great football player as well. But you saw he hits two big threes in the second half in his defense, and he's a point guard as a sophomore in those big games. And then Parker Burns, who came over from Waterloo West this last year. Such unselfishness with Parker. Joining a new team, he averaged a lot of points before, and he had to kind of take a back seat in the points category this year, but just did everything on the stat sheet other than scoring, but could also score and was a threat. And then I'd add Mason Woltz to that. He's a junior that'll be back next year, hit some big shots down at the state tournament, often came in and defended off the bench, some of the best players in our league. Just an outstanding roster.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, I'm going to add one thing. On the Chad Harbert show this week, we were talking about the game. We kind of thought Our prediction was if Leighton Wolf got into double figures, that the Tigers would win. And he did just that. He's a glue guy and just managed to really play a heck of a game because Johnston, heck of a team. Courtney Henderson, right?
Yeah.
It was, Coach, it was like you and it was like Cedar Falls, Courtney Henderson, Steve McGraw, Waterloo East versus Cedar Falls again.
It was a little reminiscent of that, yeah.
It was just like watching Steve McGraw. Just the colors were, instead of orange and black, were purple and gold.
Yeah,
but Courtney Henderson, great coach. You knew they were going to try and take Gertis out early, and Wolf really stepped up, and they're so patient. It was really impressive. We kind of figured he would be the wild card guy. And then once he got going, the whole team opened up, and really had a heck of a second half.
Yeah, you're right on. We knew that the double teams and things like that were coming to Gertis, and we thought maybe Kimbrough would be able to get some open looks, but they had the quickness to kind of mirror him around the floor too. But we needed that other guy to step up, and you guys are right on. For him to step up, though, on that stage, very capable scoring, just doesn't always get asked to do that. But those 2 threes are just unbelievable. Just what he did at the biggest time, those are 2 of the bigger shots in our history.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the year, Coach. It was a heck of a game early on when Tino and Cavill were going off. You stayed the course. You were down by a good maybe 17 at one point.
That's what I heard. Yeah. It was kind of a blur at that point. There were so many shots going in. I felt like I was dodging bullets the whole time. You're just sitting there thinking about how to stop the bleeding, and you take a timeout. We try to switch defenses, and they knock another one down, and it's just kind of one of those things. Let's get this to halftime and try to right the ship.
Yeah, I was really impressed because Johnston, got to see him a lot this year in Des Moines. They play such a deliberate style. That you were down 17, but it would have been down like high 20 points to pace-wise to a normal team.
Correct.
So to fight back possession by possession, it took a long time, and kudos to you for sticking with it.
Well, thanks. Really appreciate that. Again, I'd love to take the credit, but it goes to our guys. The story I told a little bit after the game was going into halftime, I really thought I was going to be going in to give them a speech to pick them off the floor. And I walked in, and they were already giving the speech that I was going to give to each other. They were talking about, we're still in this one step at a time, claw back, only 13 down at this point, do what we do, those types of things. And to have a group that's talking like that after getting punched in the face like we did is pretty great.
Yeah, it's great. What a fantastic run.
So, Coach Schultz, talk a little bit with you and I in Arch Madness, right? And they're preparing now to play St. John's on Friday night. Can you talk a little bit about Trey Campbell coming from your program and now how he's about ready to leave a legacy at UNI as a Valley champion and entering the NCAA tournament?
It's very similar to what he did here and doing it in so many ways. It's scoring, it's assists, it's leadership, it's doing those things in the big moments again. And he's just so calm and cool out there. That's what's cool to see as well. But he left our program as 1,000-point scorer and our all-time assist leader. Led us to the state tournament 3 times. And now you see him doing it at the collegiate level and now on the big stage at the big dance. I feel so happy and proud of him, happy for him and the Panthers, of course. I'm a Panther fan. And then we've got a few other guys up there as well on that roster. So we've got the Corbett brothers and Hunter Jacobson that are also up there, former CF players and part of that culture as well. So it's just great to see those guys move on and do those outstanding things.
Absolutely. It is always fun for me to ask. I know the answers to this. If I was ever to come to a Tigers game, where would you want me to pregame? So I'm going to ask this a little bit differently. Do you have a go-to order at Pepper's Sports Bar and Grill?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm kind of an appetizer guy, so I go with the marinara sticks. I do that. They got kind of that white creamy cheese inside, marinara sauce. So I'm kind of an app guy. So that would be my first order. After that, it's anything on the menu. It's all good.
Right? It is all good. How about your go-to pizza order at the OP?
Ooh, that's going to be pepperoni and sausage with extra sauce. You got to go a little extra sauce at the OP, but outstanding.
You always have to go extra sauce at the OP. So you've heard it here first on the Dr. Bowser podcast, powered by Sports Guys Iowa. Extra sauce is the key at the OP. I learned that from Dan Hensing. We had to get a Dan Hensing mention on the Cedar Falls Tiger episode here. Coach Hensing, by the way, huge fan of Ryan Schultz. He has nothing but good things to say about you. When we wanted to do a little bit of a Cedar Falls preview earlier in the season, he was the guy that gave us all of the information about the Cedar Falls Tigers so that we could do a little bit of a preview. So always good things from Dan Hensing.
Great friend of mine. You know, what I've learned about Dan is wherever you go, somebody knows him.
That's exactly right.
It's unbelievable.
That's 100%. He's made a living out of making relationships for the last 35 years. I met Dan working basketball camps at the University of Northern Iowa when we were both students there. And so we've maintained, heck, he was in my wedding, right? He's just been ever present in Cedar Falls since then. So always good dudes. So Ryan, Coach, thank you so much for joining us on the Dr. Bowser Basketball Podcast. For John Gunderson, I'm sure we'll be back in the future talking more Tiger basketball.
Yeah, we will. We will. And hey, big week. You got almost a full team playing for you and I this week, Coach. So you'll be locked in, and go Panthers. Bowser's living large. We're bringing in all sorts of former players this week. Just one after another. Bowser's living as good as he can right now on the Panthers.
Exactly right.
That's awesome. I can't wait.
We appreciate you, Coach. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Coach.
Guys. Appreciate you having me on.
You bet.